Before I call the meeting to order, I'm just going to bring attention to council that Reese McDonald, Nick Unge, and Nita are automatically disqualified for being on council as per bylaw 4.6B2. Councillors absent for 3 consecutive meetings in either the fall or winter term means that the office is automatically vacated. So that means we have 19 councillors, which means that 10 is quorum, which means that we have quorum. So I call this meeting to order.
Information?
Yes.
Do we need to vote on that?
No, automatically vacated.
Okay. A second point of information.
Sure.
Have those people been notified of this previous to this?
No, but they should. It's in the bylaws.
I would like to question this ruling of the chair.
Okay, then. Sure, that's fine. I'll put it to council vote. Then, do councillors understand what they're voting on? Bylaw 4.6B2 reads, the office of a councillor shall be automatically vacated upon any of the following events. Section 2 reads, a councillor is absent for 3 consecutive council meetings in either the fall or winter term. Reese McDonald, Nick Unge, and Nita have all been absent for 3 meetings. Their offices are automatically disqualified. I'm letting councillors know. But if Katie wants to challenge it, I'll put it to a vote of council. Do you want to explain the other side of this?
Sorry, please information. But if we don't even have quorum to start a meeting, is this not even within the realm of the meeting yet?
I mean, in my eyes, we do have quorum because we have 19 councillors right now, and we have 11 people here.
But this is with the disqualifications.
This is with the disqualifications, yes.
Without the disqualifications, we don't have quorum.
Without the disqualifications, you're correct, we don't have quorum. So I'll let councillors vote on it. Do you want to quickly explain why you're objecting to this?
Yeah, I'm okay, so this would be a different situation if
sorry, point of privilege, can everyone make sure they're speaking up?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm against this because we haven't contacted the people and notified them that they will be disqualified from council if they don't show up. I think there's a big issue in doing this because there's an expectation to read the bylaws. And I know that we are supposed to read the bylaws, but if I'm realistic, we have found many times over the years that people don't thoroughly read the bylaws and don't thoroughly read the motions that we present at council. And I'm not trying to defend this, but it's something that I think everybody at this table at some point has been guilty of. And so it's not fair to punish certain people for not reading those bylaws, especially when we haven't given them due notice. So if it was this a case of we had emailed them like once or twice to notify them that they hadn't sent their regrets in, and because of that, they would be disqualified for council, I wouldn't argue against this, but given that this goes permanently in our minutes, what this means is that if anyone searches any of those individuals' names at Dalhousie over the next few years, they will see that they were disqualified for non-attendance at council. So this can permanently harm somebody's reputation. And given that there's been no attempt to reach out, I'm a little worried doing this, given that if the student is having maybe familial problems or health problems and has a lot on their plate, they're going to be unduly punished for this, and we will not have reached out in any way that was supportive to facilitate their presence here. So because of that, as much as I would love to have this council meeting tonight, I don't think that it's worth harming these people's reputations, given that we have not even tried to contact them.
Okay. Councillors understand what they're voting on. A vote in favor of this challenge will mean that we don't have quorum, and the council meeting will be automatically rescheduled. A vote against means that we will have quorum.
So just a point of information on that.
Sure.
If we don't have quorum, will we still have all the presentations and everything? We just won't have the voting elements?
Yeah, so we could still have presentations, especially since Verity is here.
Of course,
I would expect that presentation would go forward with the councillors present. But yeah, we couldn't decide on anything.
So can you maybe just scroll down a little bit so I can see what votes we're going to not be able to do and what we will be able to do?
Sure, so there's the code of conduct, the oath of office, the consultation policy, the committee policy, the judicial board policy, the Yasmin's issue policy, the budget, and the health services motion.
Okay.
Yasmin, did you have a point of information?
Yes. So my understanding is that the last meeting of the year, am I correct? That the terms of the people who would be whose seats would be vacated, they wouldn't have them in the participated anymore.
This is the last scheduled council. Yasmin is asking if this is the last council meeting of the year, so councillors don't have other meetings to participate in. This is the last scheduled council meeting of the year. Yes.
If it's okay, would you mind if I sort of talk about the question at hand, or is it too late for about to enter into a vote?
A chair challenge is usually sort of non-debatable. It's just the person who challenges and the chair explain the reasoning. So, vote in favor means that we can't have the meeting. It means that these councillors won't be dismissed. Vote against means that these councillors will be dismissed and we can proceed with the meeting. Make sense?
Sorry, can you just go over that one more time?
Sure. So a vote in favor of the challenge means that these councillors are not going to be dismissed, which means that we do not have quorum, which means that we can't vote on anything. A vote against means that the councillors are automatically dismissed and we can proceed with the meeting. It's a little counterintuitive, but you're voting in favor of a challenge or against a challenge. Do councillors understand what they're voting on?
Sorry, this is just a point of privilege.
Sure.
I just wanted to know, with the bylaw itself, does it include, it doesn't include those with regrets, right? These are just
No, so it includes, if you're absent for 4 council meetings, you can be, the section that says that you can be absent for 4 council meetings includes a note for regrets. The section that says that you can't be absent for 3 consecutive council meetings does not include a provision for regrets.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, Yasmin.
So I have experienced this situation before, and I wonder if I may tell councillors what happened then.
Sure, point of order, this isn't a POI.
Yeah, this isn't a point of information.
I mean, I did ask a question.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to say no, that would be debate on the challenge. Councilors ready for the vote. Vote against means that, sorry, a vote for means that they are not dismissed. We can't go on with the meeting. A vote against means that they are dismissed. We cannot go on with the meeting. All in favor of this motion, please raise your hand or otherwise indicate.
So this is in favor of the challenge?
In favor of the challenge, yes.
Aye.
That's Katie George Jim
Yeah, and I think other Katie.
and Katie McClellan. Okay. All opposed.
Okay.
Any abstentions? The motion fails. These council seats are automatically vacated. Then, we can begin the meeting, and I will start with a land recognition.
Sorry, I just would like to leave and call roll call.
Okay, you can't do both.
Well,
You can.
I'm going to notify council that I am leaving the meeting, and
Okay.
we should call roll call again. Or have we done roll call yet?
We haven't done roll call yet. This is
Okay.
all pre-roll call.
So if I leave, we're not going to have quorum, correct?
No, we will still have quorum. Quorum is 10 right now,
Because we dismissed them.
and we have 11.
So if I had left earlier, then
We still would have had. So, as we get started, the DSU acknowledges that Dalhousie University and the Dalhousie Student Union building are located on traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered Mi'kmaq territory. The Dalhousie Student Union seeks to honor the relational treaty process in its programming, events, meetings, and interactions. We'll begin with roll call. Amina.
Present.
Masuma Center regrets. Chantel.
Present.
Corey.
Here.
Alex. Jeremy.
Here.
Katie George Jim. Katie George Jim. Katie George Jim, are you there? Alley Center
Hi,
Regrets.
sorry, I was just in the other room.
Okay. Katie Drochim is here. Alley Center Regrets. Liam Center Regrets. Katie Douglas.
Here, I leave in an hour.
Cameron Center Regrets. Ashley Farrell Center Regrets. Erzu. Stop here. Also Center Regrets. Kate.
Here.
Yazin.
Yeah.
Chelsea is not here. Alex Center Regrets. Chad.
Here.
And Katie McClellan.
Present.
That's 11 people. We have 4. Move on to the adoption of the agenda. Mover, seconder to adopt the agenda as circulated. Corey, second on this. Anyone? Chantel, are there any agenda amendments? Is there any objection to passing the agenda? That's taken on unanimous consent. Minutes of the previous meeting. Mover, seconder to accept the minutes of the March 28th meeting. Corey, anyone else? Chantel? Any amendments to the March 28th minutes? Is there any objection to accepting the March 28th minutes?
Yeah, Chris,
Yep.
I don't think I can be in this meeting any longer. I'm gonna have to leave.
Okay. See you later, Katie.
All right, and other Katie, you might have to call in.
Katie, you have the line number, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Any objection to accepting the meeting minutes? It's taken on unanimous consent. Communications received. I received regrets from Suma, Alexandra, Ali, Yazin, who's here, Ashley, Erzu, Reese, and Leo. Reese is no longer a councilor. Appointments. There are no appointments, so presentations. Beginning with Verity Turpin, the AVP of Student Affairs. Verity. Presentation is right here. Sorry for all of the fun.
Oh, not at all. Emily's gonna come up and join me.
Yeah, sure. Just one moment. Oh. If you want to control that yourself, feel free to.
So thank you for having us once again. It is our pleasure to come and talk to council. And support. Members of our team are also present today. Dr. Glenn Andrea, our medical director, Christina LG, who is our advanced practice nurse, who also works on student outreach and programming. And then we have Christy Petterpaw's communications team, which supports helping us let students know about all the things we do. So our agenda is quite short today. And so we are going to, our main purpose here is twofold, to let you know what we've been able to achieve by moving to an interprofessional collaborative healthcare model this past September, where we've come from and what we've been able to achieve for students with your support this year. And then looking forward and looking at our focus, our future focus on a holistic wellness, as well as revisiting our student healthy language with your support. So I'm going to pass the floor over to Emily here, our Director of Operations, to just go over what our operational priorities have been this last year and what we've been able to achieve. Emily.
So it was really integral having the DSU Council support when we brought in our new interprofessional model through our collaborative student health and wellness center. And so as the first bullet point there, single point of access, so that now means that all students are filtering through what used to be student health services, both through the phones and our reception desk. Because of that merge in our services, we are servicing about 750 people a day, about 400 phone calls a day, and 350 students, and some community patients who still can't come assistant physicians. So it's a really busy place. And so that way, go ahead.
Can everyone hear Emily?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, good. So that was in September. Along with that change, we also brought in our new shared health electronic records. So before, counseling had their own record system, which was primarily paper-based, and health, we already had an electronic health record system. So with our merge in services, we now have a shared record. So when students come in and fill out an intake form, they get to choose how much they want to share their records. They can say, I don't want to. So that means if they're just seeing a doctor, their records won't be shared. If they're just seeing a counselor, their records won't be shared. If a student checks off share all my records, that way we have the priority of continuity of care. So a student doesn't have to be filtered back and forth between a counselor and a doctor, have to tell their story over and over again. Both those health professionals are able to access the student's record and help them the day that they see them. Interprofessional operations, so now we have our nurses, we have psychiatrists, we have our social worker. This year we had over 21 part-time counselors that did both walk-in counseling and ongoing therapy. A core team of psychologists, of 9 psychologists. Am I missing anybody? Anybody? I don't think so. I think that's everybody. So,
And a social worker?
yeah, Hazel. So we really are a one-stop shop for our students. I mean, everything is there. Our psychiatrist, Dr. Andrews, you want to talk about how we're going to be expanding that service?
This past year, we had Cooley Potter, who's our lead psychiatrist. She could come in 1 or 2 days a week. And she was able to see most patients within a 2-week period. I think it got extended to 3 weeks at one point, which is much better than the 3 months in the community. If we refer to Bayers Road mental health, it's about a 3-month wait. She was operating on the basis of doing mostly 1 to 2 visit assessments with advice to the family physician, so giving us detailed advice in terms of management, and we could always refer back if we needed to. She also brought in Dr. Aaron Ketchen from the Eating Disorder Clinic to help out this year. There's a little bit of a backlog, and so he's going to stay on. And now I've been in talks with Dr. Leslie Kirkpatrick, who's a recent Dal grad, currently doing work in the Eating Disorder Clinic, and she's done some work at U of T and their Student Health Center and the Transgender Clinic at the IWK. And she wants to come on board in the fall to do 1 to 2 days a week, and she's more interested in more longer term continuity of care. Some of the students that we see, we feel are just not well enough to see a psychiatrist once or twice and be bounced right back to the family docs. The family docs need a little more support, and a lot of our students do as well. So we're sort of going to beef up the psychiatric part of the component of the team coming this fall. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Walk-in counseling, case management, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we look at our key KPIs, which are our key performance indicators. So every week, our team reports severity. We have 52 key performance indicators that we measure every single week. We're just giving you a picture of the most key ones, I believe. The first one, our wait times for interprofessional mental health support was to be less than 1 day. We haven't. No student is turned away. I know that there have been some conversations on campus that walk-in counseling is not always available. However, if a student comes in 1 day and the walk-in counseling is booked for the entire day, our staff give the students the choice. There's a physician, and 40% of students who see our physicians have seen physicians this year for mental health reasons. We have 2 nurses who specialize in mental health care. We have our social worker, Hazel. So we have all these other resources for students. This is the most walk-in counseling we've ever been able to achieve. As you can see, our, oh, it's not there, I have it on my other sheet. So last term, and in the winter, last winter term, we had 329 students access walk-in counseling. So our key performance indicator for this year was to go above and beyond that. And I can tell you right now that we had 1,389 students from September until the end of March access our walk-in counseling. So being able to offer it every single day for the full operating hours of student health and wellness was a true benefit for our students. So we started measuring our wait times for students assessed by our walk-in counseling to see a psychologist. So our goal was to have less than 7 days for any students that were triaged at high risk and less than 14 days for any students triaged at medium risk. As you can see, we had a weekly average from September to March of 3 students who were waiting a little longer than 7 days, and we also had a weekly average of about 11 students waiting a little more than 14 days. And we did have some turnover on our psychologist team. Otherwise, I am positive we would have achieved those key performance indicators this year. But again, for walk-in counseling, students can always come back to walk-in counseling. It's not just once and then they go away. If they're on that wait list to see one of our psychologists, they can keep coming back to see walk-in counseling in the interim. Students on the counseling wait list at any given time. We use a group of university psychologists. It's called the Association of University.
It's a group of mental health, the college counseling centers of America.
Yeah.
And so you in post-secondary education.
So they have a North American annual conference, and one of their key performance indicators was that you should never have more than 59 students on a wait list. So that's what we put as our goal this year, and as you can see, we were able to actually achieve that goal. Our wait time for a psychiatrist, our goal is less than 10 days, and as Dr. Andrea alluded to, we did go a little bit over that this year. Dr. Potter had some
in where we were in December of 2016. Yeah, in December of 2016, we had 191 students waiting for to access mental health support. We also were looking at our students waiting weeks, if not months, to access those supports. So because we've moved to this interprofessional model, we have been able to set very, very specific and aggressive KPIs, and in most cases meet those throughout the year. And so that just kind of, you can see from 191 to a baseline or a goal of 59 is a huge difference, and the reason we've been able to achieve that is because of the way we've changed the way we service students.
I can tell you that our high on the wait list for the entire 8 months was 62 students, and our low was 8 during that 8-month time. So we were able to achieve that goal. Let's say psychiatrist. So same day non-urgent. We also changed the way that our physicians were doing that. Before we kind of had it a little bit helter-skelter, and now we have it set every single day. A particular physician is working a shift that will have only same-day non-urgent appointments. So our usage this year has gone up considerably. It's pretty rare for us to have those appointments not be filled. Our same-day non-urgent physician's appointment annually. Last year we were only able to offer 676, and as you can see, it was over 2,000 appointments. And that's for anything that a student needs to come in and prescription refills, regular appointment, if they call, but they can just call that morning to get in for the day. On-call physician utilization, we hadn't actually measured that before, and it's above 100% because our very hard-working physicians during their on-call shifts double book quite often, because on-call, some of those situations can be a lot quicker than a regular physician appointment, so they're able to have more people go through their offices during the day. And then social worker, so Hazel, we started measuring the time that she's spending on her new case management. So Hazel has been working very closely with faculties, and many faculty members feel quite comfortable now reaching out to Hazel directly, by phone, by email, and now we have a new form online for faculty members who want to refer students directly to see Hazel. So we've expanded the ways that faculty members can reach out to Hazel. Hazel can always be booked directly, so you can any student can call the clinic and just ask to speak to Hazel. She is not a counselor, but Hazel does have mental health expertise, and Hazel is really key for us on the team and be able to help students navigate through the university, all the different kinds of resources. On the court with students to help them with some of their legal proceedings. Hazel has helped the students with really complex accommodations, so Hazel has that knowledge both on campus and off campus that she's able to provide students.
So, thank you, Emily. So I know that you probably have all heard about the status of our community health, and so Dr. Andrea would certainly be able to talk to you about 90,000 patients and people in Nova Scotia don't have family physicians. 25,000 people in Halifax do not have family physicians. Your health fee, which is what we're going to talk about next, goes directly towards creating this environment in this clinic that we can attract physicians, psychiatrists, and all these healthcare professionals to ensure that we have direct access to healthcare and mental health and primary healthcare for students. So thank you for your support. I'm going to move quickly through this. For the future, you're going to see us looking and developing a holistic assessment model. We know we've made some huge changes. Now we have to make sure that we're very aware of the impact of students and the student experience. We'll be coming back to this council in future meetings and tell you all about that. We're going to be continuing our work in stepped care, which is a progressive meeting students where they are and applying the appropriate amount of support to students and then assessing and up or down from there. But what we're going to be doing hopefully moving forward is really focusing on holistic wellness and making sure that our services are inclusive and meet our students' needs. Which brings us to our health fee motion language. Our current language limits us to specific professions and specific uses of the health fee. And Corey has been very kind in drafting a motion for us, and the DSU executive have been great with working with me on this. And our intention is to shift the health fee language with your support, and this will not move forward without your support, to allow us to use more holistic language so we can design healthcare services and healthcare supports that are more inclusive and meet our diverse student needs. So, Chris has this slide deck, so you can all have access to this information, but you'll see our language has emerged from 1999 to 2009 and 2014 when students gave us another investment, but you'll see very specific terms like psychologists, counselors, physicians, nurse. What we want to do is we want to take that language with your support and allow us more flexibility to create opportunities to meet students' needs in a more holistic and inclusive manner. So if we have marginalized student populations, that healthcare and wellness support may look different. We're looking to change the new language to make sure that we can actually leverage and use those funds to support the students in the ways that is most meaningful to them. So thank you so much for your time today. For us to move forward, we're asking for approval for the council on a motion that Corey has drafted using the language that that we've worked on together, and I look forward to, at whatever point you can vote on that motion, to hearing about your support. Then I will go to the Provost Committee and seek their support in doing that, but with your support, I don't see any problems with moving forward. So next year we can really be more flexible and holistic in terms of how we use your health fee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Verity. If councillors have questions for Verity, that was the full allotted time for a presentation, the full 15 minutes. Council can vote to extend that if they want to, but if nobody has questions, or if they can just email them to Verity later, then you don't have to. Otherwise, councillors want to move a motion to extend, they can. Or we'll move on to the next presentation. Questions? No one wants to move that motion, then we'll move on to the next presentation. Thank you, Verity.
Thank you.
Next up is the budget from Chantel. It's very large.
Is it on the agenda?
The health fee is on. Thanks for telling.
You can, the floor is yours.
So I don't have a PowerPoint, but I have a booklet. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings, and I have a lot of answers to questions that folks have any. This has been a really fun process. We've been at this since January, conducting several participatory budgeting consultations with my commissioners and folks on my committee. We've gone to all 3 campuses to collect data. We've opened an online platform, and we tried to take steps to ensure a more accessible document, no matter where you're at on the financial literacy spectrum. And we came up with a list of glossary terms and definitions. And gathering the data, we've created a budget. So our bottom line, with this budget, we would be running at an $8,700 surplus for the 2018-2019 year. I think the biggest notable changes is we just increased part-time staff salaries across the board, trying to pay folks more for their work, creating more student jobs. Other big changes that we have, just increasing programming across the board as well, trying to increase programming in the winter semester as well. Have folks had the opportunity to go through the document circulated on Monday? Are there any questions about specific departments? We can just go through this really quickly. We're gonna go through
I have
this.
a question.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about the elections line.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that it was so big. Can you break it down a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to break it down. So actually the cost of our elections platform is quite hefty. So the cost to use Big Pulse ranges anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the needs of the committee. And we're actually hoping to move away from Big Pulse this year and use Brightspace, as we think it'd be a better opportunity to increase engagement with the elections.
And would that be free to host on Brightspace?
I'm not sure. It's never been done for. I know faculties can do it free of charge. I'm not sure what the capacity that Brightspace has to run, or what extra steps the administration would take, and if we'd have to compensate them for that time. But unfortunately, Big Pulse is quite expensive, and there has been some negative and positive feedback from it, but I think we're ready to look at other options. Previously, it was held through Tiger Society, which is, which cost about $13,000 for the year. The commissioners and directors includes the cost of a CRO, a DRO, and 5 committee members paid an honorarium. Transportation delivery, mostly the cost to take folks to Truro for the day. They do have an office supplies budget because technically they should be hired in August and working throughout the term. Photocopying as well. Candidate reimbursement. So when you run in the election, you have the opportunity to be reimbursed for your supplies that you need to do so. A miscellaneous line, often this is used to for marketing and promotion, or just to candidate cafe, the opportunity to bring folks in before elections to go over policy and bylaws. And advertising and marketing, we decreased a little bit as we didn't quite hit the capacity for it this year. But yeah, that's kind of line by line. Do you have any specific questions about? No? Yeah.
I have some questions.
Yeah, for sure.
So more general, the financial policy 3C, states that the budget should be submitted to council 2 weeks before it's discussed.
Mm-hmm.
We got it on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
None of us have had a chance. I actually think there's only 2 of us here who have society reps, but I haven't had a chance to take this to my society, and I don't think anybody has.
So
can you speak to that?
My argument against that is I've been notifying counselors since January about consultations. I've given out handouts. I've gone to all 3 campuses, and I think this may be a disadvantage to some counselors, but this has been on the table for a couple months now. And of course, I can see how this is a disadvantage to you. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. Has the budget been available to view for a couple months?
I've had this current has not been available, but we've had. No, it has not. This current version has not been available, but we've had the opportunity for folks to come sit down, go to campuses and present the current budget and possible changes to the budget, but not in its full format, no.
Okay.
Yeah, but.
I don't believe that my society had that opportunity.
Okay.
I don't know what societies did. but I know we've had difficulties in communicating with the executive this year on a number of financial issues.
Yeah.
So I know that we haven't had a chance to comment on it.
Okay.
I would also point out that, and this is I'm just pointing this out so it can be fixed. On tab budget 2009 to 2019, on your expenses column, your percentage change is comparing the budget of 2018-19 to the finalized numbers from 2015-16.
Okay.
Should probably compare it to the 2017-2018
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
There's a few spelling mistakes in it, but it's not really a big deal.
Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to.
They were fixed in this document here, but yeah, I think sponsorship is spelled with an E at one point.
Yeah.
However, this document has been corrected, and comms is working on putting this in like an online workable document.
Okay.
To put on
Yeah,
the
and I don't think that those are big deals, obviously. I know there's just some things that need to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
The bigger issue I have is that I can't vote on this
Okay.
budget because we only got it 2 days ago.
Okay.
And I don't know. I know that it's a difficult situation. I've had your job twice, but I don't know. Like, are we allowed to go against policy and push a budget through in 2 days? Like, is that even something that we should be discussing? And Chris could speak to that, I suppose.
I'm going to leave it up to councillors.
Okay.
Based on something that I'm going to say as soon as this presentation is over.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
would
moot
point out that we don't have quorum, so it's kind of irrelevant at this point. But
Councilors could vote to table it, and we could have a brief council on April 18th, if folks feel more comfortable with that.
I don't think it'll be brief because we have a lot of other things to vote on too.
We don't have quorum.
No, and I'll speak to this after this presentation is finished, but we have
Sorry.
lots more.
So that
Yeah.
I just wanted some clarification because
Yeah.
that really is not an acceptable turnaround time for budget voting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll just go through some other big changes and then we can maybe continue this discussion. Okay. Cool. Yeah, just across the board. Another big change that was made, the executives have the opportunity to hire commissioners throughout the year, and it's always been a set $4,000 for the year, and you can kind of allocate that however you please. I've changed that number to hire one part-time student, just to keep it consistent and streamline the work. Often the work, there's a lot of, the more people you have in that process can be a little confusing with delegating tasks, and hopefully this kind of keeps consistency with like helping with the work as well as like keeping them on payroll and increasing the amount. It'd usually be a $500 to $1,000 honorarium. This way this person would get paid $13.25 an hour and work anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week from September to April. And they would also have the opportunity to be like a middle manager and to coordinate a lot of the tasks that sometimes VPs struggle with. DSAC in Department 180, their operation budget was slightly increased just to reflect the work that they do. They've had a huge increase in caseloads this year, and yeah, it was never and they've also changed up their structure a little bit, so just allocating that to reflect the changes that they've made. Other than that, not a whole lot of changes. Other large changes in the executive summary, our general operations line has increased quite a bit just to reflect that department has absorbed full-time staff's like conference budgets and as well as the ability to like take on extra training. It's also increased to reflect a higher transition and training budget to provide like more opportunities for our part-time staff, as we hire about 80 a year, plus we have about 20 to 25 full-time staff. But other than that, it's about the same. $8,700 surplus. I think we're doing great. Yeah, it's definitely changed quite a bit over the few years. As you can see, in 2009, we ran about a $300,000 surplus. However, you can also see that we've increased our capacity to run services, programming, and events. And I'm really excited about this budget, and I really hope that we're best utilizing our funds for this. And that's all I have to say. Any questions? Feelings?
I do have just one other question.
Yeah.
Well, why did you, I kind of see the logic, but why not put technical into your programming Just because it does have a revenue stream.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like a historic thing. That's just how Pat has always run that budget line. But I can definitely take that suggestion for future years as well for budget revisions. But it's just always, it's how it's been done, at least for the past couple of years. But that is a good point. Any other feels? I think I'm getting pretty positive. Okay.
All right, folks. We do not have quorum. I'm going to tell you my interpretation of the bylaw, and then tell you what I'm going to do. Bylaw 4.5 G. Quorum for council meetings shall be a majority of members of council. If quorum is not present at the opening of a meeting, the meeting may proceed even if quorum is not present throughout. If quorum is not met at a meeting of council, the meeting shall be automatically rescheduled for 1 week later, and at such subsequent meeting, quorum shall be established by whomever attends the meeting. I believe that the part that says that we can proceed with the meeting should not apply to votes. We do not have a majority of councillors who will be able to vote on like legally binding policies and things like that. I believe that it's there so that we can have presentations and present information items in the context of a meeting. However, yeah, we're not running votes. But, my interpretation is going to be that we have to reschedule all the votes for next week. At next week's meeting, whoever's there is going to be quorum. We can proceed with the meeting if councillors have any other information items they'd like to talk about, but otherwise I'm good to adjourn and come back to this next week. Chad.
Can we just see the agenda again? Because there may be one or two things on there that it might be nice just to have the information on.
Sure, so we have 4 committee reports, board, Senate, society review, grants and sponsorship, then a series of motions, and then executive business.
Could you maybe just show the motions and zoom in a little?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the motions.
I know I should have this on my computer. But
the motions that we have are the Code of Conduct and amended Statement of Office, the consultation policy, amendments to the committee policy, the judicial board policy, an issues policy that Gazan moved, or not an issues policy, but rather an instruction to the Bylaw and Policy Review Committee to create an issues policy, the budget, and a health services motion related to the presentation the party gave.
Okay. And just point of information, the health services motion, it appears as though they're just changing language. Are they increasing the fee? Can you scroll down?
Yeah, sure. They are just changing the language.
Just changing the language. Okay.
Alex?
Thank you.
Heads up, none of these are available next Wednesday, so it would have to be followed.
Quorum is established by whoever is there.
Oh, if it were true. If it were before 7, we would be.
Okay. So we've lost quorum. Our council is okay with adjourning the meeting? Yes, Yazin.
So last meeting we also had a similar situation where we were at 11, quorum at the time, and then after somewhere one person left, and then we were right below quorum, but we still proceeded with some votes. Why is there a different ruling for this meeting? And if we do continue this ruling, how would it affect the previous meetings?
I don't recall ever being below quorum at last meeting. I don't think that we ever dipped below quorum. Oh, sorry. Last meeting was a rescheduled meeting. That's right. I'm remembering now. It was March 28th. It was rescheduled for March 21st, which means that the quorum requirement was whoever showed up, subject to that bylaw that I just cited, bylaw 4.5G. So quorum at the March 28th meeting was whoever was there. even if at certain points during the meeting we dipped below what would usually be quorum for a council meeting, because of the extraordinary nature of the meeting, we still had quorum for the purposes of our bylaws for taking votes. This meeting is a regular council meeting. It was not rescheduled, so we're subject to a quorum of a majority. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Now, can the chair move the challenge?
The chair's ruling in what sense?
When it comes to the interpretation of the bylaw that says we don't have for the vote.
You can challenge that, sure.
So I would like to challenge the chair's interpretation.
Okay, Yasmin is challenging my interpretation. My interpretation of what? Do you want to describe specifically, and I can sort of relay it to council? Or somebody else can relay it to council if you want.
I don't know. That's right.
So the interpretation, your ruling of that is that the bylaw, when it says the meeting can proceed with presentations and issues that don't contain votes. I want to sort of challenge it and offer the different interpretation that when the bylaws say the meeting can proceed, means it can proceed and vote.
Okay, so to sort of summarize Yasmin's position, Yasmin, tell me if I misrepresent you in any of this. I'm interpreting the bylaw to say that we can proceed with meetings insofar as we can have presentations and information items, things like that. I do not believe that we can have votes without quorum. Yasmin is challenging that and saying that bylaw 4.5 G, where it says that the meeting may proceed even if quorum is not present throughout, implies that we can have votes on motions. Yasmin, do I have that correct?
Yeah.
All right. So,
Point of information.
point of information, sure.
Can you speak to how we would vote on a challenge without quorum? Can you speak to how that works?
Yeah, I'm gonna run it. I don't see that I have very much choice in the matter. If it's being challenged, I think I just have to run the vote. And if you approve this, then that's legitimate. If you disapprove it, then it doesn't matter. You know? Yes.
Were there any other counselors on that list that would be removed?
I went through very quickly to find counselors who hadn't attended the like 3 consecutive meetings. This one, last one, and the one before that. And it was the 3 counselors that I dismissed at the beginning of the meeting.
But are there other counselors that have missed 3 consecutive meetings without regrets?
Not that I know of off the top of my head. It's possible that there might be, but I'd have to go through quite a few minutes to figure that out. All right.
One final point of information. Oh,
Sure.
Actually, we can do this after the challenge, but can we get other counselors here? Would that constitute quorum if we called more up?
Union rules and procedures says that we can take a recess for no more than 15 minutes to try and establish quorum.
How many more would we need?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more.
Yeah, I can. Okay, I might move for a recess if we can. But I guess we'd have to do the challenge first.
Yeah, we'll consider the challenge first. So Yasmin has explained his reasoning, the fact that he's challenging that.
So the only issue stopping it from having a recess at this point is my vote, and I would like to withdraw my motion until the recess.
Okay, Yasmin withdraws his challenge. Jeremy, did you want to move for a recess?
Yes.
Okay, Jeremy moves for a recess. Do I have a second? Corey, all in favor of a 15-minute recess?
Hey.
All opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. We are recessed until 7:19.
All right, kids, get on your phones.
we are back in session after a recess. Where there have been questions about quorum, I'm going to call the roll again. Amina.
Here.
Nasuma is not here. Chantel.
Here.
Corey.
Here.
Alex. Jeremy.
Here.
Katie George Jim is not here. Ali is not here. Liam is not here. Kenny Douglas is not here. Cameron Finley is not here. Ashley Farrell is not here. Arizu is not here. Kate.
Here.
Yazin.
Here.
Chelsea.
Here.
Chad.
Here.
Katie McClellan.
Here.
We have 10 people. That is quorum for proceeding with the meeting. Move along then in our agenda to committee reports.
Can
Beginning with,
I put a motion on the table?
you can, what's the motion?
A motion to adjourn?
You can motion to adjourn. This motion is not debatable, and it does need a second and then a majority vote. So, do I have a second for a motion to adjourn? Chantel?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Katie. I already got a second.
Okay, sorry.
All in favor of adjourning, please raise your hand or otherwise indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. DSU Council stands adjourned.